Welcome to the Awakening Podcast. You can find all our episodes on awakeningpodcast.org. I'm not going to do much of an introduction today because my guest, I believe this is the sixth time, so we could probably call ourselves co-hosts at this stage, Peter Wilson. So you just do a search rather than me calling out all the numbers, do Peter Wilson and all his episodes come up. And the reason that I get him back so often is it's actually very popular and all the information that he shares is fantastic. He simplifies it that basically it's not too complex, that we can understand exactly things to do. And for me, I believe he's helping the world to become a better place. So please welcome back, Peter.
All right, great. Thanks very much. And great to be back again. It's
So,
always good to share information on here.
no, definitely. So, I mean, I'd like to know what you're kind of up to. So you might kind of tell us what's the latest that's going on with you.
Well, I mean, I've been like mad busy. There's just so much going on that we're actually doing. So I'll give you a little bit of an insight. Now, a major thing that we're actually doing is we're organising an event, which is going to be in Newcastle upon Tyne, which is going to be the 1st and 2nd of February, 2025. Checkmate the Matrix Live. So the whole thing is about literally you learning how to checkmate the matrix, but on more than one level. Now, what I mean by that is, right, I'm looking to, or I have other speakers that are coming that are going to share knowledge on the financial side of things as well, how to actually escape the control of the cabal and the banksters. So you can go into the decentralized finance. They're going to show you and share knowledge on how to actually move your finances out of banks. How do they control us? They control us by controlling your finances. If they can close your bank account down, and I'm getting loads of people, oh, they've shut my bank account down. They did it to me
They've
when
done
I've
it to
tried to
me.
get into crypto. Yeah. So if they can't hurt you like that, and then they can't freeze your finances, they want to call it money, right? Oh, you can't touch it, right? Well, that's how they control you, isn't it? They do it. They did it in Canada with the truckers. They closed down all of the payment systems, froze the bank accounts. But if they haven't got that control, then you are in for a better ride, and obviously looking at better ways of freedom. Now it's going to be a 2-day event. It's in a luxurious venue in Newcastle,
Only the best for you,
right next
Peter.
to the quayside, which is a party capital of Europe, right? So it's obviously easy for me to get to. But yeah, a fantastic venue. It's got its own massive private room, 400 people, but it's got breakout room as well, so we can go off do like Q&As on the sessions. It's got its own private bar. Upstairs, it's got its own restaurant. It's got an art gallery. It's really a fantastic place, but surrounded as well by many other bars and restaurants. So for lunches and everything, when we have our breaks, and then it's a 2-day event. So in the evening, you've got everything you can imagine there, and right next to the iconic River Tyne and also the Tyne Bridge. So an absolute fantastic event coming up. So I've been working on that, getting the website ready. So I'll let everybody know as soon as that is ready. If you do want just to put your name down, right, to get information on, just go on to checkmatethematrix.com. Checkmatethematrix.com, and you can just put your name down, and we'll get back to you when all the details are really full on. Some amazing speakers coming from different parts of the world, right, that are going to be hitting not just on the cryptocurrency side, the decentralized finance, but also we're going back to getting rid of debts, controlling debts, as well as the private trust for protecting your wealth, but also how to create wealth. So truly on how to checkmate the matrix.
I mean, that sounds like something like that. I think I'd like to cross the pond and break bread, which it's something that's very interesting. And I know that people that have been at events with you before and just said how brilliant that you are as a speaker, explaining things, simplifying things. Because what I've noticed in when I've kind of gone down this kind of rabbit hole for the last few years, you read a lot of books now. Most people, the way that they write it and explain it and just go about it, they confuse people. And what happens then is people do it wrong, which in turn hurts them more, or they get screamed at by the judge, or they don't get the results that they want. And to understand just the process of doing it right is I mean, I know that they're in safe hands when they're going to. Will it be something that can be will be online as well, or will you be probably recording it and having a course later? Because especially because we've a lot of listeners in the States and everything. So I mean, I would recommend going. They might get a match in as well for Newcastle. I'm not sure where they are.
That would be good. Yeah, but it will be recorded. We're going to record the entire event. So people that attend physically, they will like obviously get to see all the speakers. There's two different tiers, what we call like the standard ticket and then the inner hexagon. All right. So I don't want to do it in a circle. So let's change the shape. Um, they'll have they'll have front row seats guaranteed, plus an extra private breakfast with all the speakers to do a Q&A like privately with them. So you can pick the speaker that most interests you if you want to get a one-on-one with them, a little bit extra. But it will be recorded and they'll all get a full recording. However, after the event, we will, try and make available the recording as well for the people who couldn't actually make it. I'm pretty sure that we're going to virtually sell out, if not completely sell out. We're selling tickets already, and I haven't even got them ready, So people are excited. But look, what we want to do eventually, we want to run it as an annual event, and later, once we get a little bit more clever, we will try and even live stream it so people could do it, remotely, rather than have to travel back to Newcastle again, next time. But that's coming up, and it will be a very good event. It's a amazing venue, 400 seats. It's absolutely beautiful, fantastic visions. We've got the screens up on either side of the actual stage there. The audio is fantastic. And it's called the Biscuit Factory, right? Because it used to be a biscuit factory. They've revamped the whole of this industrial side of Newcastle. So you've got the toffee factory, so all offices and apartments, and the biscuit factory, which is a gallery, art gallery. It's got like wedding rooms. It's got a big wedding reception. All these like beautiful plants. And it's amazing. But this room, the big room, 400 people can get in, plus a breakout. Have our own private bar. Hot and cold drinks. You don't have to go on get drunk all day. You can get down the quayside for that later. Everything you can imagine down there. Absolutely fantastic place. So really looking forward to it.
Excellent. And like you mentioned about the banks and stuff like that, and I don't think people are kind of understanding. I mean, we saw the glitch with so-called Microsoft in the last few days, but Bangladesh, which has a population of 170 million, they're kind of shut down and they're like attacking the students. And I believe it's something like 200 dead, but their banks are frozen and they have no internet. And I mean, a load of the people working in Bangladesh, their customers are to the west. So it's like, is this a test for what's going to go on? And like, I mean, when I looked at like the banking kind of things, there's not people think it's my money, but as soon as you put it into the bank, it's no longer your money, and it's like there's such trickery with everything. So you might kind of touch a bit more on that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, that there in banking law, there is no such word or description for a deposit. So once you've given them your money, there's no legal responsibility for them to give you it back. Now, they look at it as a loan. You've given a loan to that bank. Let's just call it the bank. So you've literally given the loan, and they can do whatever they want with it, remembering that this is fiat currency. So so it's a loan. It's when you give it to them, but in reality, it's not even money. It's just fiat currency. So this is what I get quite like, I laugh at people when they say, "Oh yeah, no, but I'm scared of that cryptocurrency. I'd rather just have my money." And say, "Well, that's just fiat currency. It's not money. And when you got it in the bank, it doesn't belong to you. It's safe in the bank. It's the worst place. You'd be safer sticking it under your mattress, right? You'd be worse, like be better digging a hole somewhere in your garden, putting a big X on top of it so you don't lose it, right? Be better doing that than trying to leave it in the bank because they can take anything that they want. And they're proving it time and time again. And you're correct, exactly what you've just said, right? I was reading about that. And it is a terrible situation. Now, there's so much going on. You'll obviously have heard it and you'll have seen things. And, the reason why we're pushing people on the educating themselves for the decentralized finance This is just for protection, and it does remove you and takes away the third-party interaction. Third party being the banks or the governments. So on these exchanges that are decentralized exchanges, not the ones that get pushed, by the way, the amount of like backing that's going into these ones that we deal with is just going up and up and up and up. Now you are looking at, we would call it like a bull run for if you wanted to actually get involved in this type of thing to make your own wealth. This is going to be, it's only slightly happening now. People are getting excited, but next year is going to be way, way bigger because there's so much going on. I mean, like, you know, I am no follower or fan or anything like that of like, say, Donald Trump or the American system, but you must be keeping an eye on everything. And they're starting to refer to him now as like the crypto president, right? Or the Bitcoin president. And he's involving people in what is going to be his like whatever they call him, Senate or whatever it is, and on the people that are surrounding him, all have all been heads of cryptocurrency networks and exchanges, and now he's going to have them advising him in the treasury. That is major. So all of these like groups like JP Morgan, the big banks and everything that have been slagging cryptocurrency and scaring you, giving us all FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt to make sure we all stay away from it, why they invest trillions into it, knowing what's coming in the future. And the thing is, right, you know, you might think, well, we don't want CBDCs. They're coming. You've got no choice about it, right? You had more choice to go and vote for some idiot to go in the parliament a couple of weeks ago, and there is no choice. It's already decided well before they give you a bit of paper to put your X on to confirm that you're an illiterate child. But you know, these CBDCs are already up and running, are already getting done there. So you need to make sure that you can go on the correct side of it when this happens. And if you educate yourself and prepare for it, then some people are going to be very happy, right? You can actually make sure
It's
you're on the right
this
side.
is one that I'm kind of I I'm thinking totally different to everybody else on the crypto thing. I have the crypto podcast and I'm kind of showing all the stuff. With the fiat, no matter what you do, you have to just to know your customer and you have to actually give all your utility bills and everything. So as much as people think, anonymity and they don't know anything, it's simple buying. We can walk away and buy what we want on crypto straight away like that. But when you want to cash it out, it's a lot harder. And like they can turn off the tap. And what scared me about a year ago, I got kicked off Gmail for some reason. I mean, I'm always being attacked anyway. Like, I've been censored and videos removed and everything. But you've got an authenticator, which is basically it's like another security thing when you're doing your crypto. And that was turned off as well because that's by Google. And
Mm.
it's like if you trace it back and look at the different things, they're pushing this. They can turn off the tap in the morning. The only way I can see crypto working is when it's crypto to crypto. And we all have one coin and we all get a million each or whatever, and we're all trading with each other and it doesn't go to fiat. But if it goes to fiat, which it always does, one, you've got the boys with the printing press that can buy what they want. You've got the Soroses, they can manipulate the market. So I actually don't think that crypto is safe. I really think they're pushing it and it's all orchestrated to make us get excited and go into it. And I really think that it's all part of the plan because they want us into the digital world and we're all kind of going, no, use cash. But yet there's a big, huge percentage of people getting into crypto, which is digital. It's like they control everything. And if you think that I can send you something on crypto and they don't know it, even if we send it to 10 different wallets or 50 different wallets, they know exactly, especially when you have to cash it in. They know everything. They make it look like they can,
Yeah, but
but there's full
there's many
traceability.
ways now we've been able to actually trade without offloading it, without offboarding it going into the fiat, and it's going to get bigger and bigger as well. There's huge big networks that are being launched and they're just getting bigger and bigger that are moving completely away from and the centralized part of it, which is tying into anything to do with government. Blockchain technology itself is just getting so far advanced and so big, there's no stopping that. You'll never be able to stop that.
No,
This
I
is why
think it's
we're putting,
fantastic. I mean, if you look at
yeah,
real estate, music, like the things that we can do with traceability and looking after the artists, it's brilliant. It's like
private trusts.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Putting them onto the blockchain. So like people say, oh, your trust doesn't exist, or a piece of paper. Well, everything that you want, any license you're talking about, it's a piece of paper. What are you talking about? Just show me your driver's license, but it's a piece of paper. It might be like hard paper, but that's all it is. It's idiots to say, oh, you can't have a trust, you know what I mean? But we're putting them now on the blockchain. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that even if you need to learn what's going to be going on when the CBDCs arrive, because it will. Which the funny thing is, though, I mean, like this, we just mentioned it before, right? Everything we've been crashing the last couple of days, or whatever it is, the week, right? A couple of times I went down to this, it was like the local supermarket just to buy, can't remember what it was now. The only place I can get it because we usually shop in farms, but you couldn't use anything except cash. They went, "Oh, you can only use cash." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, this is exactly why that's what I do anyway." It was great. So the quite funny to see that all these places were getting shut down, and the only thing you could do to buy anything was give them cash. Funny.
And were the ATMs working? Because, like, when they do switch this off, that's the thing. People think, oh, you need cash. But when you go to the bank, the ATM, as we call them, drink link, it's like, if that's not working, you kind of, it's just
Yeah.
numbers on
Uh,
a
I
balance sheet.
don't.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, I don't know if they were. I never because I didn't have to go and try, so I don't know. I've always got cash ready, so I was quite happy with that. But I don't know, to be honest. I never even looked. I just went, yeah, get in, brilliant, and then sorted it and left. So yeah, and that what will happen when they decide to go chink and switch it all off when it really hits the fan, because I mean, we're facing a huge de-dollarization, and I don't think everyone gets what that actually means as well, because maybe they're all on just like the same side, and they're just doing a huge pantomime, right? We'll never really know until it's too late,
I think it
but
is because if we look at, because I think you're going in the direction of the BRICS, because we all thought,
yeah,
oh, I have found out this week that basically, I don't know, was it Goldman Sachs or whatever came up with that. So the banking boys came up with the BRICS thing before it actually happened. So
mhm.
it looks like it's all orchestrated, and we're all thinking, oh, this is great. It's getting away from the dollar because they control everything. And it looks like from what I can see, it looks like they're controlling the whole lot, and we're just like the puppets. We're the minions on the end. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, that's just like you're using the word all the time, reset. To me, it just looks like they're going to reset it. So, like, we've had enough of it being Western culture. Let's switch it to East then. So, what we'll do is we'll attack the dollar, and they are. They de-dollarize it. Now, you can see it getting smashed to pieces. But America are doing it to themselves as well, which is the crazy thing. They're actually trying to sanction countries that have just turned away from them now. And to me, it was when you, like you said, like, the Goldman Sachs. Yeah, I've read that as well, seen that. So when they actually get rid of the dollar, which they will, well, all these currencies like the euro and the pound, the British pound, they're all tied to the dollar. The only thing that they're actually valued by is the dollar. What's the dollar valued by? Nothing, right? So when it collapses, everything's gone. So then what? That's when it's going to be. That's when they'll switch it off when the dollar's completely collapsed, they'll switch it off, and then you know it'll be very interesting to see what the score is after that. But yeah, I've got a funny feeling, sort of like the BRICS nations are all just like part of the whole game. Two cheeks of the same horse, I think.
yeah, and like I mean, because Brazil is part of that, and I mean, I've got a friend that's in Brazil. He's an Irish guy, but he's living there, and Rumble is banned there, and you're like, this is weird, like, because we never hear of things like that. Like, so he's actually, I was like, what? And he sends me the screenshot showing it's not allowed in the country.
Right.
Yeah, so, and even with a VPN, he can't access it. So like
Okay.
I don't know. It's like everywhere it looks like they're doing trials and then they're just kind of doing distractions with like Trump and stuff like that, and everybody is looking this way and they're still bombarding us with all the other things. So we're living in interesting times.
Yeah, definitely a massive pantomime, that's for sure. But to me that they all seem to be the evil pantomime characters. We haven't got any any Cinderellas in here. They're all bad, aren't they? So very,
No,
very,
no,
very
that's
strange
the thing. Like
times.
like some people are thinking Elon Musk, and I mean, if you follow, like, if you start going down the demonic route, and I mean, I've even seen because I mean, I'm subscribed to your newsletter or your emails coming out, and I mean, I know about Jimmy Savile as well. So even the connection with the your new UK Prime Minister, so maybe even just mention that because most people wouldn't have even been aware of that.
Yeah, but it's crazy though if you like look at it. So like well, because people were like still talking about, even though on that election a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was the lowest in the UK for years and years and years. I think that's because like everybody's. I don't think they're waking up. I just think they were sick. But still, this is, shows the obscenity of it and how ridiculous it is. Less people voted for that idiot, that Keir Starmer, than that had voted for the other parties, right? But because the way that they set it up, which is completely fake anyway, he still gets to be prime minister. So then they give us this country here, right? That you've got what they call a king, whose best friend was Jimmy Savile, right? Who that like there was around. He spent just as much time in Buckingham Palace as Charlie Boy, I think. So then now also the Keir Starmer, who's supposedly a prime minister helping to run the country or running the country on behalf of the king, was the guy who was actually in the Crown Prosecution Service, the head guy of the Crown Prosecution Service, when they were investigating Savile and said, no, 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 nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here, sir. Let's move along, and let's wait until he's dead, and then we can start talking about him. You
And I
know what I
mean,
mean?
like, there's apparently 500 cases against him. So you could probably put a zero, if not even two zeros onto that, because
Oh,
most people would just keep their head down. They'd be embarrassed and they just wouldn't even report it. And like, or the police, because they're all part of this and they hide it and everything. Like, I've even heard of cases, because I mean, I've got a few different guests that come on and just the stuff I read. Like, a lot of the times, what they do is they attack the victim and they put them into asylums or they arrest them and put them in jail. So you've been abused and you go to what you think are the police to get help. And it's because you're ratting on these scum politicians who are abusing people, they reverse it and lock up that person or put them into an asylum. Like, I mean, it's insane what goes on.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's actually it's not even really hidden now, is it? It seems to be that they're actually allowing it to be more seen to rub your faces in it, maybe. It's craziness and the amount of proven abuse cases that there are, and a lot of it where is the children's homes and everything like that. And if you look at the amount of children that go missing still, and this is what people don't really go and look at in the UK alone, it's something like 20,000 a day. So like go and have a look. Like since the Second World War, how many like millions of children have went missing? Where have they all gone? Yeah, I mean, it's a frightening number, and it just seems that people are like, well, I don't want to talk about that. We'll discuss something different. We'll go into a different topic that's like
No, that's the
not
like
as
I've noticed
uncomfortable.
that it's like, and to be honest, I put my hand up as well. I kind of found it a tough topic, and it was one of my friends who was doing a show with me. It was Chris Ryan. He was like, "Wait, you can't walk away. You have to face this on. This is happening. The only way to stop it is to actually call it out there." So as much as it's like this is a horrible thing to hear, it's happening because a lot of the times people are not doing anything, and I've even seen like seals and stuff like that. They're going away and they're catching these groups of people and they're let go. So it's
Mhm.
like, so like, how can that happen? So it's going to come down to like vigilante squads with these, and it seems like temples as well. All these kind of secret organizations. They've that's where a lot of it's happening because when they find kind of buildings 50 years old or whatever, they find all the bodies and everything, and it's like nothing done with it. It's like you can totally trace this back. Okay, so we know that there's organizations, secret organizations that are connected with this. They should all be shut down immediately.
Mhm. Yeah, I know, but you would think that they would start looking and doing things like that. However, I mean, you're looking at like the top tier, if you want to call it that, what they call themselves, the elites. I certainly wouldn't. But everybody that's like running the show are all involved in it. So it's like asking, like the guy to go and grass himself up. It's not going to happen. So they're not going to go and do anything about themselves or their friends. They're all watching each other's back. And I think what you find, I think, right, is that the ones that sort of like get thrown under the bus, say Gary Glitter and Rolf Harris and that. Now and again, I just think, we need to throw them a bone just to sort of like shut them up and let them think they've won a victory, and or they've like got rid of a predator, an evil predator. And yeah, we have, but I just think they do that on
But sure, didn't
purpose, just to
Gary
like,
Glitter do the same then in Thailand or something like that? Like he was still at it. It
yeah.
was, it's like that's the sad part about it. Like they do it. And I mean, I see Pierce Morgan interviewing Kevin Spacey. And as if like, like, oh, poor you and oh, you've lost all your money. They're all part of it. They all try to make each other look good. And you're going, this guy has been abusing people. He shouldn't
Mm.
be out there kind of having a begging jar. Like he should be locked up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that Piers Morgan's just an absolute like disgusting like specimen of anything. There isn't a word to describe how filthy he is. But just look at him. I mean, like what's been going on in since 7th of October, and he was one that mouthing off on live TV about like finding all these babies like with their heads cut off, and then completely denied it on live TV later. I never said that. No, I never said it. It's just like you're a fool, right? You're a fat fool. Exactly. There's nothing more. Like it's
I mean, the same
absolutely
with the poison
disgusting.
dart. Like he was calling people idiots for not getting jabbed.
Yeah, I
And
know.
then done a reverse turn as if like, oh look at them, they're bad. They've actually with all like he's batting from both sides. Like, and to be honest, anyone that follows him or shares his stuff and everything, like you're giving them fuel. And you just have to unsubscribe to these people. Stop looking at it, the CNNs, the BBCs. You just have to turn it off and like start following people like yourself where we can
Mm,
make a difference in the world. And there's a lot of people out there. And it's like I see people as well, like because sometimes people say they can't be nothing done. But what's happening now is people are going for the individual because they hide behind the cloak of the corporation. And
mhm.
it's like, oh, it's me, the government, or me, the city hall, or me, this. And it's like, no, you're the one in charge. And they're going for the individual and they're getting people. So I'm after getting into an organization now in power. And it's like they're going for the individual and they're getting results. Like so they're playing with things. They're trying to work now on the chemtrails as well and a lot of the other stuff. But I mean, I think that's the only way that we do. We all come together and we're like, because
Yeah.
you fight 10 battles and you'll get stuff wrong. You go into the court, you say the wrong, or you shouldn't go into the court really. Like, but I mean, it's like the more people that are doing this and sharing it. And I mean, you're very generous with the stuff you do. Like your website, like claiming your Strawman, I think is the web. Like you give so many resources. Like, I really
Mm.
commend you for what you do because there's so many out there and they're trying to sell massive thing. And like, they're not taking any, like you're giving really good information. And I think the more people like yourself and we get groups and groups like your event that you're doing, you're getting a few people doing different things and it's like you're building and yeah, you're saying you're 400 people seats. I mean, I'm hoping you'll have 4,000 in a few years as you grow this, like, and because people then are sharing the information and they're going, hey, we can win this. Because if we look at, say, the chemtrails, like that's the one thing that's I've got to be in my bonnet about is like really annoy me because I look out the window and I'm like, I'm seeing it. The sun doesn't shine through. It's like they talk, but they've done it in Tennessee. And it's like, all right, we need to
Yeah.
figure out what we're doing. How did they manage to stop that? And it's like, I don't know. Like I see loads of people in the UK like sharing the videos. And I mean the weather's terrible most of the time there. And Holland, oh, I've got my brother lives in Holland and I'm seeing it's like that. Knots and crosses when you look up at the sky because they're showing me the videos. But like people are saying they haven't had sun anymore. Like it's just raining all. It's like the New Ireland. Like it's just so. Like have you done anything on the chemtrails? With
No, I mean, it's funny enough. No, I haven't actually done anything sort of like about chasing them or anything. One video that I did, and I was walking down the woods near where I live, and I was just like doing I think it might have even been just a short video, TikTok video. And I said, look, beautiful day, it's got a bit of sunshine, but look at this. And there was a massive big trail across the sky. And I just went, what's that? And it's funny, the split in the comments, right? Like half of them think you're a lunatic. Oh my God, you've never seen a plane before. I think now you're having so many government organizations saying, yes, yes, well, we do that, but so they're actually admitting it. Then you're having the whistleblowers that are coming out more and more now and saying exactly what the ingredients are. And funny enough, we've just done what we call a bioresonance, a reading, from well, there's a few different machines you can do, but it's a bioresonance reading, and it reads all, well, major different things. But one of the things that I was like completely shocked at was the toxicity, what different types of toxins were in the body, and also what the ones there were that was attached to vaccines. So it was two different ones. Okay. So this is the thing you got to remember about vaccines, right? We've all been kids, so we know we've had vaccines. You can't say because I didn't get that one, right, that I'm unvaccinated. Because I mean, I joined the forces, right? So I was like 16-year-old. You're in a queue, right? Strip off your shirt off, all stand there. They've shaved your head, right? So you go in and say, right, and you're getting injections. You don't even know what it was. It's just right. You've done that. Go and stand in that queue now, and you get another one. Stand in that queue now, and you don't know what you've
Like,
done.
and I've heard that, like, so many people that have been in the military all around the world, and it's like, one, you haven't a clue what you're getting, and two, they have no testing for combinations of these that you're getting 10.
No,
And if something happens, it's all hush hush, and you don't know nothing. That guy just doesn't
yeah.
appear to be on the boat, whichever at whatever kind of military you're in.
I think I was like either I've got a really good immune system, or well, a few people have said through tests that you have got a strong immune system or whatever, but I never got anything wrong with me or ill. And a lot of these young kids, because we're all only 16, 17, and they were really ill. We got smallpox injection, okay? And they were coming up with big scabs on where they had done it. There were big lumps under the arms, and I never had anything. I was totally fine through the whole thing. But when they were doing the reading on this bioresonance, it was showing you all the different things that you had in your body. Um, and it said on here, this is from vaccines, and it had HIV in there, right? So, and it had the influenza, loads of different types of influenza. But we've been teaching martial arts now for like, well, 30 odd years. Now, since we came back from Spain, and then started running them back in England again, which was like 2013 when we first started again, the because it wasn't like that when we left. They were all the kids every year were getting this flu spray. They didn't get a jab, they got a spray in the classroom, right? So then they're all coming in, like, and they definitely got to be shedding, especially if they sprayed it on them up their nose or whatever it is they're doing. Why are you giving kids like this? If it was true, which I don't believe, a common cold, I don't believe it exists at all, and neither does the flu whatsoever. That's your body detoxing to get rid of all the toxins out of your body. It might make you ill, but it's because you're detoxing. And like we've got, well, I've never ever felt it, but we've got this in our bodies now, HIV, right? And it's from the vaccines. This is what the bioresonance reading was saying, and loads of stuff. The one thing I was happy about when they did the toxins and heavy metals, there was a lot of heavy metals, and it says it's all from the air. So they're getting sprayed by these chemtrails all the time. And the only one they didn't find in myself was like aluminium, which is good because that attacks the brain for like Alzheimer's and dementia and everything like that. But yeah, he was coming up and showing the most horrendous toxicity, which the bioresonance, the machines can actually give you the frequencies to get rid of it all as well. So that's a really good thing. That's what we did when we were trying to get through this health kick that we're not a health kick, but really concentrating on it now, like trying to assist because you know somebody in a hospital mentioned the words cancer. So you've got cancer, which is actually they didn't say it in the hospital. They rang up and said that. Imagine saying that to somebody over the phone. Isn't that ridiculous? So he just went, no, no, it doesn't exist. And, sort of like really making sure that we clear out all these different levels of health, getting into hyperbaric oxygen chambers every week, so going into one of them completely soaking your entire body in oxygen. The one thing that the body needs to live, and people are worried about going in an oxygen chamber, you need to go in and soak yourself in it. And literally, when
And
I'm
how
saying
long?
soak, you don't
Because
get
I've
wet.
heard of them, but I've never done it. Or so, how long do you actually go into them for?
It's only about an hour. So what we do is because we're lucky, we're in Newcastle. They've got one just off the River Tyne. It's actually on the south, so it's in Gateshead, but you can see it from the river. Um, Great woman runs it, excellent. And we actually go in, and they've got like a salt room, and then the hyperbaric chamber as well. Other things, but that's what we do. So we take turns, we swap over, me and Janine. So when she's in the oxygen chamber, I go in the salt chamber, and literally you sit in and it's full of salt or Epsom salt. She's standing on, it's covered in salt. The whole room's all salt. Then they get the oxygen machine, and it blows all of these salts into you, like in there. So you're deep breathing, getting all these salts. Exactly what they used to do in the Victorian times. You're not well, go to the beach, get down to the coast and breathe in the sea air because it's good for you. Right. So that's what that is. It blows all this air in. We do breathing techniques, meditation while we're in the salt room, and then go into the oxygen chamber. And then you can feel it's like being in a plane. You know, you get the pressure in your ears when you're taking off because it's like the same similar machine, at least anyway, to where if you get the bends through diving. So you go in, you completely soak in, all the blood gets full of oxygen, and it helps really cleanse and balance the body out. So yeah, so
And
everybody
how
should be
often
doing.
should you be doing that? Is it once a month or quarter?
Mm, Well, because we've been doing it sort of like every week, but just with time scales and everything, we're going to reduce it to every 2 weeks because it's just too busy. But on top of that, though, we also, and this is oxygenated water I'm drinking here. So as all part of the actual health regime, it's just a lifestyle,
Is that
really.
with an ozone generator that does that, is it? That,
It's very similar. It's obviously we filter all the water, so make sure it's been all filtered. And we've got a reading that goes, if you take it out the tap, it's 300 odd. Get it down to zero on your machine, and then we put it in a vortex machine. So on that vortex machine, it puts ions, negative ions into the water, spins it around with copper. It's got an insert of copper, and it ionizes the water correctly. Now I've seen this actually get done in an experiment. A guy called Harry Rhodes did a live experiment on a stage, and I watched it. I was in Ireland at the time. I think it was called Carrick on Shannon or something like that. And yeah, they showed the blood cells. They were saying, most adults have got blood clots that don't even know it. And it took a blood sample of this woman live, and it showed that the cells weren't moving and they were stuck together, all the red blood cells. So he vortexed the water, then put the oxygen in the water. She just drank a couple of mouthfuls. That's all it was. Then he took a blood sample again, and it showed all the blood cells all bouncing around off each other because they're properly hydrated, and also they've got the negative ions on them that are supposed to. So they're bouncing off each other instead of getting clotted together. So,
that's
and that's what oxygen does when it goes through your body anyway. So you're getting that plus drinking the oxygenated ionized water. It's called structured water. All to help with the
So what's the
the
machine?
health.
Because the thing I've got is cheap enough. It's like 25 bucks. So I use a Brita kind of filter thing because the water here doesn't have fluoride, but I put it through that. Then I use that. And I mean, even my plants, because I mean, I've got a plant, it's just flourishing. And what I did is I put copper pipes into it because I was seeing a lot of stuff and it's like the plant is just like flourished. And it's like, when you're giving the plant good water, as opposed you give a plant tap water and you give another one treated water, the same plants, like have them in the same light, you'll see the difference is incredible. And I mean, you must look at that you're putting that into your body. So how much is that machine that you've got that does that?
It was well, actually, because I got the vortex machine and the oxygen water. It's just like sports drink bottles is what the same size as, but it was about €100 for the two, so it's not bad,
Yeah, the thing I
you
have
know.
just blows the bubbles, but I think it's like, is it three hydrogen, one oxygen, or the other way around? Not sure what it is, but it definitely makes a difference. I know that the water is way better. So, like, is this kind of what you do? You put it through a system and it filters it. How exactly is it working?
Well, I put it just that you've just said, what was it you called yours, a Brita filter or something like that?
For the British just to take out the chemicals, but then
Exactly.
it's an ozone generator. So basically, it's like the fish balls. When you have a fish tank and you have like it's the
Yeah,
same kind of thing, and it's just drawing the bubbles. So I do that with any of the vegetables and fruit that I get as well. It just gets rid of toxins and
yeah.
everything I do. Make a cup of tea goes through that.
Oh
Everything.
yeah, definitely. I would never even cup of tea. That's why I don't like going out anywhere for cups of tea or anything. But You know, on this one, it's like if you imagine like a sports bottle, but it's like a more of a V shape. You put your water in there, and it's got a copper pipe going up the middle, twisted. Okay, and then once you put a bit of Celtic sea salt in, right, put the top back on, you press it, and it spins it round in a vortex, and that ionizes the water, but it makes it structured water, so the water is actually alive. But you've also got all of the minerals from the Celtic sea salt in as well. Now, once it's done that, you swap it over to I'm sure they call it a hydrogenator. And that's just like a glass bottle, right? It's got, and you pour that in, then you press the button at the top, and you see all the oxygen coming up, and it turns it very milky. It clears later, but it turns it milky. When you drink it, I mean, it's just fantastic. It just tastes amazing. Totally, totally different. I mean, you couldn't drink tap water. You'd make you feel sick anyway with a disgusting taste. I mean, here, right, they've got loads of protests on the beach because we're right on the coast with all the surfers, because now they're pumping raw sewage straight into the sea, right where everybody's going swimming, you know, and you can see the difference. We've been down the beach with the dogs, and you're like, oh my God, it's disgusting.
It's unreal that
So,
they do that. Like, it's,
but you know, and there is a lot now down south in the UK as well, where more and more people are getting ill from the drinking water because of all the toxins that they're pouring in, because there's a lot of raw sewage going into the river and the water systems as well now.
you mentioned the Celtic salt because, like, I use the Himalaya salt since I heard about that. I don't use normal salt anymore. It's always the Him. And then I'm hearing bad things about that, and it's like I don't know. But when I checked the Celtic salt, you know, it was from a conversation with you, but I heard it a few times. I said I have to check this out. It was savage price. I was like, it's like $100 for a pack of salt or 60. But it was like,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, so is there different types of Celtic? Is there like a certain branding, or is there different ones? Like what's special about the Celtic salt?
That I don't know if you get different brands of it. I'll have to check that out myself. We don't pay prices like that, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, you can also like put Epsom salts in. All you need is literally a little pinch of finger, like there, put it in. It's not a lot, you know, because we were doing that before, and then I just literally ran out, and we've got Celtic sea salt, which we only take literally again a pinch and put it under our tongue. That's all you do. You know, you don't go and sprinkle it all over your food. You probably could, but you know,
Okay.
we
And
don't
what you
do that.
might do is you might give me the link to the device that you've got, and I'll do the same for mine. So for the listeners, they'll be able to have a look because if that's the way I see it is, if you look at anything, even the ability to fight the bad boys, you have to have the energy and the clarity, and it's kind of down to the water is what I believe is a major factor.
Yeah. If you want to be fighting in the system, right, and it's a spiritual war, but it's definitely a physical war as well, you know, you need to be feeling good to do that, don't you? So, actually, where I got my machine from on that Harry Roads, it's onlyresultscount.com. So go and check that one out. Onlyresultscount.com. And you know, they make these machines there. You can get the machines. So and everything's the thing is somebody said to me like the other day, it was like, well, you know, how do you know it works? I went, well, it's designed so that you make sure that you don't get ill, and I'm not ill. So it must be working. It's all about prevention. So you're trying to prevent yourself from getting ill. So it's pointless. I'm only going to do it when I feel ill. Well, it's too late then, isn't it? You know, you're preventing the illness is what the whole thing should be about. You know, which is again, we were talking before we came on live was about like the fasting we do. Like every week we do a fast, 1 day a week. You know, and it's literally going on. Some people call it a fast, other people call it a cleanse, whichever way you want to do it. Some people go purely just nothing but water. We do it like with fruit and water. You know, other people just do it with juice. So it's anything along those lines. But we were mentioning that word. I think it's called autophagy, something like that. Autophagy along
I
those
hope I don't have
lines.
to write that in the show notes because that'll be a hard one.
Oh,
I'll have
it's a funny
to.
word. It's a funny word, but you know, we talk about it. What happens is when you're not eating and your body starts to actually look after itself, the good cells start turning on the bad cells, and they recycle themselves by eating. The good cells eat and get rid of the actual dying in the bad cells, and then cycle them into the body. So the body's making itself healthier by you not eating like that. So good to have it at least once a day. We do once a day, once a week. We have a fast, and yeah, and obviously we're still doing the same thing with the water. Make sure you're drinking the clean and hydrogenated water. Make sure that you get that flooded through your body as well. Oxygen completely changes your whole body, makes it much more healthier.
Excellent. So, like, with, I suppose, all the kind of craziness that's going on, I see a lot of people now even fighting kind of the council tax, and you've got all these bills as well. But I suppose, irrespective of what you're fighting, because even like with the electricity and the gas, I heard that they can come into your property because you've got the meter at the side of it, and that's why they've got access. So I know people that have basically removed it. They've got a qualified person to remove the box, and they've never got a bill since. And when they're actually checking, there's even people recording, asking British Gas and all that, where'd you get it from and all this. And it's like, it seems like they're debt collectors basically. But like, what you're doing is when people are getting attacked like with credit cards and bills and stuff like that, you're able to help. So I mean, we know that we've kind of touched on it, but I mean, people, they experience it, they don't realize what's going on until it happens to them. And I think things have got a lot worse over the last year compared to what they were previously. So, like when people are having massive credit cards or they're being attacked, like maybe if you could give some advice on what's the best way to be tackling this.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, the thing is, like, I mean, people don't realize how bad the actual situation is, like with the debt. I mean, let's just talk about the UK because obviously I've studied that more. The debt in the UK is up to 2 trillion now. 2 trillion debt. Now, I'm not talking about mortgages. This is just credit card and bank loan type of debt, personal finance, not mortgages. 2 trillion. And it's rising at 5,000 per second. And you can go and have a look on the UK debt clock. You know, I'm not making it up. Go and have a look. It's easy to see. Shows you on their UK debt clock. You can Google that, research that, and you'll see it's rising £5,000 per second. So obviously what's happened since like 2020, like everybody was getting their businesses smashed, they were losing jobs, other long-term businesses were closing, and people are struggling. And at the same time, they've increased all of the utility bills, haven't they? Like gas prices, electric for you anyway, for us, like the mere mortals, you know, they're increasing all of the prices of everything. The food prices are skyrocketing as well. So families are struggling harder. They're finding it far more difficult. So therefore, debts like that are rising. And a lot of people are getting into trouble with debt collectors. But you can handle debt collectors very easily because it's a completely corrupt system. Now, a lot of people say, well, it can't be true. It's not true. Well, you know, yeah, you have to just look at the logistics of it. It's so easy to see. Now, debt is classed, right, in any like common law country. I mean, a common law jurisdiction. That's like, you know, United Kingdom, all over islands, anything in the United States, Canada. It's a common law jurisdiction. Therefore, right, you have to have a look. Some of them have a little bit, even Scotland has a little bit of like differences. You got to be like really study it carefully. But all of those countries or debt is classed as property. It's actually an item of property. So if you have a credit card and you've got, let's just say, 10,000 euros of debt on there, and you don't pay it, and you're not paying your monthly payments, what they can do is they can what they call an assignment to another party, a debt collector, and they'll sell it as an item. It's a thing. It's a thing, and anything on the property there classed as the law of property, it can be assigned to anybody else, right? But it has to be done legally. Remember, you're talking about the legal world here, not about what's lawful and legal. This is all public, so it's all under the legal framework. And all European countries all come under GDPR, General Data Protection Regulations, and they are very strict. But they're only strict if you know how to use them and what they actually are. You might have heard, oh, GDPR, you're breaking the data. But if you don't really know what it is, then you can't use it for your own sake, and you can't like use it as a tool to fight against the debt collectors. And it's a brilliant tool to fight against the debt collectors because they break all the or a lot of the regulations every single day, and they just hope that you don't know. So what happens is when they actually imagine you've got like old Fred Bloggs there. He's the CEO of Lloyd's Bank, and like Lloyd's Bank have got like 100,000 people have failed on their credit card bills that week. Okay, so the only way you can assign a debt under the Law of Property Act, it comes under the Law of Property Act 1925, Section 136. It has to be a deed in writing. But also under the Law of Property Act Miscellaneous Provisions 1989, a deed to transfer an item of property, the debt in this case, it has to be assigned and signed for by the CEO or like the one who would be in charge of the bank, who's the original creditor, and it has to be witnessed. So if you're the CEO of Lloyd's Bank and there's like 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 debts that have to be signed for that day to go out, do you think they'd do it? Right? He's sitting there on like what, like 150 grand, like a year to actually just have his name. I bet you none of the CEOs have ever been into the bank, right? It's like they don't go and do any work. They're not going to be sitting on the teller and arguing with customers coming in. They'll not do anything. So none of these deeds are ever signed. None are ever signed, which means they are all illegal. They are breaking the GDPR straight away. So all they're doing on the Law of Property Act, they are doing the 136. They're doing that section where it has to be in writing. That's why you get a letter. And what they do is when they sell the actual data, which is what they're selling, not a debt, they send the customer gets a notice of assignment, a notice of assignment. Now, they love using that word assignment because they want people to think, oh, well, it's a deed of assignment, right? People will not even realize what a deed is. Has to be a deed. Any property can only be transferred via a deed. And a debt is property. A pen is property. A house is property. It can only be transferred via a deed. But they don't do it. So when you get a debt letter, it comes on and say, all right, you owe us now. We've purchased your debt, right? That's what they say. And so we've got all the legal rights to this now. You have to pay us. Do not talk to Barclays Bank again. Do not talk to Lloyd's again. Talk to us. Send them a subject access request. Some people might call it a data subject access request. It's the same thing. You are the subject or the data subject, right? Now, it came to light a long time, well, late last year, was it, with Nigel Farage when he got kicked out of his bank, and then he got told by someone, send him an SER. And he's like, what's one of them? What does it do? But they told him how to do it. He sent it in, and that's when they gave him all of the data that they held on him, including all of the conversations between staff telling him what he was this and he was that, and that's why they wanted rid of him. And he found it all out, right? So what you do is you send in an SER or a DSER, whatever one you want to call it, to the actual debt collector, and you say, I want all of the data you've got on me, specifically a copy of the legally executed deed of assignment, and it's got to be signed correctly showing me under the Law of Property Act 1989 miscellaneous provisions how it has to be signed. Now, obviously, we know we're talking to Agnes in the office who will just like say, oh, no, we don't need to do that. And they always say that. We don't need to do it. We don't need to show you anything. It's been transferred. It's been assigned to us and that's it. And that's what they say. But they've now breached your data. So instead of you worrying about, oh, I'm getting debt letters, you can start attacking them. And that's what we actually do. And we've got a lot of cases that we've won. We've helped people all over the country. Even sometimes when they've allowed it, the debt collectors actually took them to court. We've said, right, do the defense there. Put the defense in. And when you're putting the defense in, go in using CPR, civil procedure rules. And on the civil procedure rules, you are allowed for full disclosure. CPR 31.6, full disclosure on the documents that they are relying for their case. And what are you asking for? Copy of the legally executed deed of assignment. So a few of the cases that we've done there, it's a group called PRA, right? They're not the worst, by the way, but they're pretty bad. And they've sent us a deed of assignment. Oh, here you go. You want a deed of assignment. And it's blank. There's nothing on it. And they're saying that's the deed of assignment that allows them to have your debt. It hasn't got your details on, hasn't got your account number on, hasn't got your legal fiction on, right? It's got nothing on it whatsoever. It's got, oh, we are now allowed this debt. Literally. It's like me like sending somebody you owe money to a letter saying, well, look, give that to Roy and tell him that now he owes me, and that's it. There's nothing to actually legally do it. And once the courts have seen that they haven't got it, they just went, no, find it in our favor straight away. Last one, PRA Group didn't even turn up to court because they knew they couldn't turn up there and say it's a blank deed of assignment, even though they'd sent it. They hang on till the very last second. They don't tell anyone what's going on. So in the end, we just got a phone call saying, don't come to court. They haven't filed the paperwork. You win by default judgment.
And
So
do you have on your site or anything? Because I mean, a lot of people now are listening to this and kind of, the pennies dropping. They're going, "Whoa, I need to do this." Do you have templates of what people can use, or because people start writing this and they do it wrong? Is there templates that they can use that has the right wording?
yeah, go to my YouTube channel, Return to True Democracy. Now, there's a full series on there, all on GDPR and debt. There's all of the templates are on the videos and explaining on the videos how to do it. But also, I keep sending them out and sending the templates out and sending explanations out on the mailing list. So just go to claimyourstrawman.com and just put your name in, and you'll get all of the emails as well. So yeah, and I've just sent them all out for free. And if you want extra support, you can even join our private group through the same link, claimyourstrawman.com. Join the private group, which is called Checkmate the Matrix. And on there, we have weekly meetings, right? We go on and we help each other that's on there. There's a lot of very friendly people. There's no egos allowed. There's no narcissism allowed. Everyone's there to help. They're all helping each other. All of the templates are there. Everything that you want to do to fight the GDPR, fighting all the debt collectors. And that's why a lot of people are getting much more success now, because you're not having these other groups there that like, we're only allowed to do that and no one else is allowed to do that. And you've got to give me 300, 400, 500 pounds before I show you the template. Yeah, okay.
And the
Right.
problem is like, and there's a load of people doing it, and even with courses and stuff like charging like even thousands. The problem is when people are on their knees, they can barely put food on the table, and there's people that are basically then doing that. Like I mean, I know things like trusts and stuff like that. There's a bit of time. There's a lot of things you can kind of, or how to protect your money and pay as little tax and stuff like that. That's all grand because you're actually getting a good service. But for things like that or helping, there's so many people out there, and I mean it's grand if you actually help them, but there's a lot of them, they don't know what they're doing and they're actually putting them into more trouble
Even
by
more.
the
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've got groups that have just like completely and utterly ripped people off, and they've said, look, just pay for it all on a credit card, then we'll get rid of the credit card for you. And they can't do it because they don't know what they're doing, right? They wouldn't know what GDPR stands for, never mind how to use it as a tool. Yeah, but I mean, when people are breaching the regulations, right, then they can be held accountable to you. Now, it's the corporation that you're actually going after. So, we don't have to worry about getting into it being lawful and going after an individual. We're just going after the corporation. But as soon as you actually get that judgment against the corporation because they breached your data, they have no deed of assignment, they don't exist, or a legally executed one, then there's no debt. The debt disappears. Therefore, you can like land right back and saying, if you're going to get another 5,000 compensation, like you have to pay me if you write to me ever again. But also, I want to go to Equifax or whatever they're called, and all the debt agencies, credit score agencies, get rid of all of them bad payments, get rid of all of it. So it also cleans up your credit score if that's what you're bothered about. Not that I am, but like,
yeah, and
like,
that makes me laugh because like a lot of people talk about the credit system in China and how it's done. It's the exact same thing in the West when with
yeah,
this because like if you've got a bad credit system and you want to get a mortgage, they go, no, you have a bad credit system. It's just the same thing.
you can't rent a house.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't rent a house if you've got bad credit score. So we'll just do a credit reference on you. Well, I can't rent a house because, like, it's ridiculous.
I heard a good one yesterday. Basically, the person was in Iceland, and apparently it's not that easy to get alcohol there. They're like, when you go to the garages, the petrol stations, stuff like that, they don't have it. And a guy was trying to get a mortgage, and they wouldn't give it to him because everything is like electronic. They said you're drinking because whatever, and so. I mean, I think like that's kind of in our vicinity. So they're doing that
Wow.
there. What are they kind of controlling? And with because the system I've used, I mean, I used the GDPR at one stage and got them to back off, but I always kind of challenge, hey, you're coming off after the corporate entity. And I'm going, I'm the living soul. And that works for me. It's like they back off. I've got courts to back off. I've got even detectives like trying to get me in. I mean, I've had so many court cases they bring you in and they just waste days of your life and you don't get a penny back. Everything stops. You just get abused. And then you're innocent going away there now in your grand. And so I've kind of learned you're not using my time no more. The city are trying to get you in, and one of the things that they'll do, because a lot of people don't realize what the kind of crap that they do till you get stuck in it. And then you make the mistake. I remember going into the city. We had the tenement building. I mean, like I had a criminal case and everything for this, but they were basically trying to come after me for like 10 years of a bill that we never had. And they were like, oh, just sign that there. I was like, no. And it was like, I realized the power of the signature. Like, you don't sign anything because you
No,
sign everything is like, I comply. I agree with what you've just done and you're giving them power. I was like, since I've done that, I'm not afraid of anyone no more because I know that the whole organizations, the cities, the governments, the police, they're all corrupt and they're all trying
yeah,
to get you, even like walking fine. I don't think we do that in Ireland. We use our brain when we're crossing the street. The UK is the same, but I mean, Poland, you get a fine for crossing the street. America is
right.
the same. And it's like, you just go, who's the injured party here? Like, there's no injured party. So if you start using your knowledge and kind of challenging everything instead of just putting your head down and just thinking logically, okay, there's no car coming. I just walked across the street because why would I wait 5 minutes for the sake? And because they're standing there, I mean, the police never, when you get your car broken into, which happened to me, oh, we've no police. Wait 2 hours, we've no police. But they can have plenty standing there with their radar gun or standing by the street. So it's like, stop thinking that they have control over you.
Yeah, it's just the full legal fiction system. So, like what you're saying, don't sign anything, don't give them your signature, your sign of nature. But all they're working on, like you just said it before, is your full capital name. So if you don't admit to being that straw man, right? This is the legal system is a relatively modern thing. This is what people do. They always go, oh yeah, but it's the law. No, law is law, right? You want to know what law is, then go back to like ancient times, and the law is law. Thou shalt not kill, right? We all know we shouldn't be killing anyone, hurting anybody, stealing their stuff. You just know it. That's universal law. That's natural law, right? The legal stuff, that's just all man-made rules. It's nonsense. And they've tied it into your full capital name, which is why your driving license and your passport are all in full capitals, because it's not you.
And your bank account.
Yeah, and the bank account, everything, exactly, you know? And it's just not you. And it's just a completely separate entity. So the more people like can become more knowledgeable on that and aware of what it is and how they have been cloned. There is two of you, and the legal system is completely separate to the law. And that, and if you do get any interaction, anything like say the police come up to, don't talk to them, don't say anything to them. Everything that they want you to hinder yourself, they want you to perjure, they want you to actually go in and trip yourself up and make yourself have a fine for no reason, right? I mean, why are they stopping cars left, right, and center all the time that are driving along that haven't done anything? We just need to check your details. Why? Well, we might get a fine, It's ridiculous. If you get stopped for something, let's just say that you were in an argument in a pub, right? And that one of the bar staff like reported you to the police, and the police stopped you outside, and they just whatever the argument, they arrest you and they keep you in cells overnight, right? They'll say, well, look, we're gonna forget the whole case, right? Forget it. We're not going to prosecute. All you got to do is pay £80 to get home. That's what they do. So you pay that to be, well, I don't even know what it was called now, right? You pay it and they let you go. And then nothing's ever said ever again. It's just all revenue. They're there like literally revenue collection officers. It's got nothing to do with the law or looking after people. And like, there's never ever any injured party. It's just all these ridiculous ways of them to actually drain your wealth away from you. And it's all double dipping as well, remember, because all they're doing is taking it out of your trust fund.
And because I mean, I put it on when they're writing to me because I know that everything they're doing is corrupt. And I say, look, my cost for this is that, and eventually they back off. But I've never got money from that, and I don't think I've seen. Have you ever seen somebody actually, when you're kind of responding, knowing that what they're doing is illegal and everything, and saying, if you write to me again, I'm going to charge you, whether it's $100, $1,000, whatever it is. Have you ever seen anybody win where they get paid for making a claim that, hey, you're writing to the wrong person or whatever way it is?
No, I've never heard anyone getting money on that way. The only way that we know that you can get it is by literally when we do the GDPR system, because we know they've breached it and we can prove in court that they've breached our data by because they allege that they have a legally executed deed of assignment, then they refuse to give you it. That's a breach. It's called concealment. So they're concealing your data. So, and then they can't admit that. So they just don't turn up. So then you win your compensation. So it's for distress and anxiety that they've caused, as well as the inconvenience. So, and you can get compensation for that. But, sending out a notice and like, say, like, I don't know, like would be like, another debt collector and you're writing to them saying, I'm charging you £150 per letter that I write and blah, blah, blah. I've never heard of anyone ever getting any money like that way, No, no. It's good fun though, doing it.
No,
But
exactly. It just makes you feel, it's kind of like your power kind of throwing it to them. So like there's a few things we touched on the health side of stuff and the chemtrails and everything, and now like kind of protecting yourself with like the straw man. There's talks as well that people say, like, there's the trust, you're the beneficiary and all this. And then there's people out there selling courses. There's even one guy, he's given information on videos and he's not selling anything, but it's like they're claiming that you can actually write out checks, you can get cars and you can get stuff like that, and you can tap into it. Have you ever seen anybody doing that in the UK? Or because like you're looking at somebody who's saying they're doing it. They're saying, "Hey, I've got a million. I'm out of the tax system because of the way I've done it." But most of the people that have done this have ended up in jail first. Like I've seen a few people, they've got out of the system, but they've all been in jail. It's like
yeah.
because I think they've done it wrong or whatever, and then it scares me because like we all want to get, okay, if you can tap into this and you can get your money, great. Or if you can actually get out of paying tax, get out of the system, which there definitely, I know there's ways of doing that. But do you believe that that's actually possible, or are people just kind of trying to?
The way that we call it equity. We use it in equity. So I've actually done like a lot of studying on discharging all charges with equity. So some of the people that I was studied with have like got rid of criminal charges that they were expecting years in prison by discharging the charge. Because as we mentioned before, we're talking about like the cryptocurrency, the fiat currency. We've got no real money. It's just currency. So they removed that when they removed the gold, right? That was tied to actually make it like valuable. So now it's all literally like backed up by nothing. So there's no money. In America, they did it with what they call the House Joint Resolution 192. They've done it before that in the UK. So when they've done that and we have no ability to pay a bill, we haven't actually got the ability to pay anything. Because even if you get, like, you haven't got a wallet, but if you've got a note in your wallet and you're going to give them it, and there's my cash, it's actually only a promise to pay. It even says on that, a promise to pay the bearer, right? So it's a promissory note. So it's illegal to pay a debt with a debt. So you're actually breaking their legislation by paying with, even if it's just using your card, because that's just taking fiat out of your own bank account. So you're actually breaking their laws, if you want to call them laws. So we discharge the charges used in equity, and there's proper notices that we actually do it with. Now we call it a non-negotiable notice of acceptance. The wording is very particular. It's not a conditional acceptance, right? That a lot of people try and use. I am of the impression that these people that do conditional acceptances and also like an accept for value as well, some of them call it. Do it like so it's like a watered down version of the non-negotiable acceptance by using equity. Because we know in equity we can only balance the books. We're not allowed to pay. And they know that as well. So you have to use it with faith, knowing you're in the right. I just need to balance the books. So when you get a tax bill, for instance, and this is what we've been doing, two very tasty cases, okay? So I have to be careful what I say because and I definitely don't want to put people in a bad position. But one for £75,000 and no, £75,050 and about a few pence, completely gone, vanished. I've got the actual copy of the letter there that states balanced zero, right? The week before it was £75,050 and whatever pence. And you can discharge the charges using equity if you write the notices correctly. There isn't any templates is the thing. When you're using these methods, you have to do everything, not by hand writing it, but you have to do a particular notice to an event. So if you get that bill, HMRC, IRS bill, right? A lot of them getting settled. So we've actually been doing it, and a lot of people are ringing or messaging me back very excited. It's disappeared, it's gone, there's never, it's like, and we do it. And you suppose it's, in a way, people could say about you're accessing the trust fund or whatever it is there, but we know none of it's real. So we're just balancing the books because they have to write that off and accept it and discharge all public charges. That's what we have that written into the notices that we create, So it's doable and it's accessible, and we have got people that we've done it for, even all the way in Australia, sending me messages excited. Everything's disappeared. There's no bills there. It's so if you do it correctly and you stand correctly, right? Because a lot of people will send off what do you call it? An accept for value. A lot of people call it, and then they come back and say we don't accept them, and they go, oh well, what will you accept? Or oh sorry, I'll do it again. Well, where's your faith then? Where if you're going to try and send an accept for value, you should know what the background of it is. And the background of it is that we have got no ability to pay because we've got no real money. They got rid of the money and the gold way back. All you have is a little piece of, well, not even paper anymore, is it? It's plastic notes now, aren't they? Right? A little flippy flop notes. So you've just got a promise to pay that you can give them. So you're actually you're breaking the legislation by giving them an extra debt to pay a debt. And you're actually making the debt clock go higher as well, which is the Federal Reserve now are actually making even more money off you. So just discharge it with the correct notices, and you should know how you're actually doing it and why it balances the books, and it all goes to zero. But you have to have the faith and know what you're actually doing. Because if you just send it, oh, I'm just going to write it on, and if they charge me, I'll do something different later. You learn the method correctly, stick with the method, follow it through, and then if they ever did end up like what, taking you to court or something, say, well, if they haven't paid, say, well, I've sent in the acceptance, I've accepted it, so they should discharge all charges, and stand on that and say, well, you can't actually like ask for more money because it doesn't exist. There is no ability to pay. I've just balanced the books by accepting it. If you want to make me a new offer, make me a new offer, and I'll accept that for it as well. So as soon as they make you a new offer, so well, just put it in writing for me, right? And you put non-conditional, non-negotiable acceptance, sign it and give them it back. So yeah, I've accepted it again, finished again, and stand on it. They know that there is no money, so it can work. There is ways of doing it.
So
And
for somebody
I've paid a
listening
lot
to
of
this
money.
now, everybody's kind of on this, the edge of their chair and they're going, but there's no templates or nothing. How do they find out how to do it? Because that's the kind of $1 million question. Have you done interview videos where you're sharing that, or is there some place that people can go get this information so they can start applying it and doing it in the right way?
Yeah, I mean, I have assisted others doing it on a one-to-one basis, and also we have again our private group, and you can access how to do it in our private group. So you can do that. So if you can go on So I'll have a look and see for yourself. I mean, yeah, I mean the thing is like you have to put a bit of skin in the game, if you want to start like learn certain things like that because it's so powerful. I would never go and put it on a public platform, you
Yeah, 'cause
know.
like that's my fear as well. Loads of people know the success I have, but I will never share it because everyone then will start replicating it, and then they'll figure out a system to stop what's working. And you have to be careful of that as well. Or somebody will find some loophole to attack you, and then it actually comes back to bite you. Or if somebody tries it and it doesn't work in their country, then they're suing you, and you're going through more. So
Yeah,
I
but
understand why you have to be very careful with
yeah.
what you're kind of putting out
But
there.
also they'll do it wrong, won't they? They'll do it wrong, and when they do it wrong, they're not going to blame themselves, so they're going to blame you. So I'm not going to show anybody. I'm not going to put it on a public platform. I mean, I've done a lot of help, like say, like one-on-one, all over the world, and so we actually work quite closely together. And I'll only work with people that I trust and that I know. So like people straight out of the blue ever come in and say, well, if you're in my private group, then we've got a relationship and we've been doing like weekly calls and you know who everyone is. A lot of times like this, you can see them on the video, but the so you got to be very careful when you're dealing with because there's a lot of bad people out there that pretend to be other people. I get it all the time. I mean, my email or website, I just call it claimastrawman.com. And people try to make things up about that. Claim a strawman. Oh, you're telling people you want to claim a strawman. How'd you do that then? It's a website name. Like, get over it, mate. Right? Like, I don't know. It's just to me, it sounded quite clever. Claim a straw man because you're gonna. Well, I know where it is now. I can claim it. It's like I don't know if you've heard of John Harris. Probably heard of John Harris. I mean, like brilliant back in the day when he was telling people about the straw man, and then they made that film, The Straw Man: The Nature of the Cage, and he did a great video when he was having the debt collectors calling him or HMRC calling him or whatever it was called back then. And they'd say, can I speak to Mr. John Harris? He said, no, you can't. He's deaf, dumb, and blind, and he lives in a loft. Because it's your birth certificate. It's a legal fiction. It's your straw man,
I've never
right?
heard that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, so and I just thought it was quite funny. Like that's why I actually they said, "Oh, claim a straw man. That's a good name. I'm going to use that." For like the website. But it's just a name. You don't have to. You don't claim anything. You don't get your straw man. You don't go and steal some scarecrow out of farmer's field and run off with it. It's just a good. I thought anyway. It was a good play on words, but not everyone has got a sense of humor.
No,
But
exactly. So
yeah,
listen,
so there's no notices that there's like on you got to be very careful. I know there's loads of templates on the A for V, and they might work. I don't know if you've got it and you want to try it, right? Then go ahead and try if you've got somebody's version or you found it written out somewhere or whatever. I know a lot of people are doing it now on the gyros. They write the gyros out and they write accept it on there and use that, and apparently that's worked. So yeah, I mean, there's more than one way to skin a cat, but I do know the one we're doing with equity, and I'm dealing with a friend who has got the ability to have the faith that equity is equity and that there is no such thing as money, and we can only balance the books. When they do it correctly like that, then I know I can work with them, and it has success.
excellent. Listen, as always, thoroughly enjoyed the call. I know we're getting you back in a month's time. So what I want to ask the listeners is write into me. Let me know what you'd like me to ask Peter so we can actually make a list of questions. And you might let people know where they can find. I mean, we mentioned the website there. I mean, if that went over there, but I'll include in the show notes. But you might list the different places where people can get you.
If they want to ask me anything next time as well, because I know I'm going to book, I have already booked in anyway for a month. They can ask me about the book. I've nearly finished there, right? It's going to be illustrated, but it's actually, right, it's written for children, right?
That's good for
So
me, yeah.
exactly. So it's written in such a way that even an adult can understand it, right? But it's all about trusts. So if we, like we actually wrote, or I'm saying I wrote like a series of children's books for martial arts, not on how to do martial arts, but the background of it. So like focus, concentration, balance, all of those things, power, how to put, and, it was books, children's illustrated books are actually, somebody found them. They're still on Amazon. People are buying them. I've never got a penny from them ever. I don't know what that went to, but yeah. So like, and I was quite pleased when I seen that. So, oh, that's your book. So yeah, so I am a published author. But yeah, so I've just finished this one. It's like Tommy the Trustworthy Tiger, we call on this one. Tommy the Trustworthy Tiger. And he is still a martial arts practitioner, but it's on how to develop, create your own trusts, trust law. So very, very intriguing.
Definitely. Listen, look forward to having you on again next month, and I'll make sure I put all the links both on the audio and the video. Thank you very much, Peter.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Been great to come back on.
Right, no problem. So that's all for the Awakening podcast. You'll find all our episodes on awakeningpodcast.org. Be sure to comment. Let us know what you thought of the different things that we discussed. And maybe you've got some good ideas as well, because as long as they're not abusive, they stay up. Until next week, take care. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. As mentioned at the start, you'll find my 6 podcasts on bio.link/podcaster. And also, if you'd like to start a podcast or do a podcasting tour, you'll find the information on that or on the QR code that's there. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, and share with your friends because it really helps. And also, I'd like to thank DanielPackard.com, helping people with fear, doubt, and anxiety. He's got a 90% success rate, and he's only charging if he helps you. So be sure to check him out, and you get a free call to discuss everything. Until next week, take care.